Episode 6 of Euphoria Season 3 starts with a bit of backstory to Alamo. As a child, his mother introduced him to Preston, a man covered in scars but also her new lover. He loved her dearly and things seemed to be going well between them. Now Preston used to work at a chemical factory until a vat blew up in his face, hence the scars. Alamo's mum looks past that though, and soon their fortunes change. Preston comes home with a big wad of cash, and from there onwards they start to live the high life. In fact, Preston has every intention of asking Alamo's mother to marry him. Unfortunately, when they head back to the apartment after a vacation, they find the place completely empty. They've been robbed of everything, so Alamo's mum decides to leave Preston completely. The pair move to a brand new city and start again, where Alamo realises with sickening horror that all of this was just one big act. His mum is a professional honeypot, using Alamo to sell the story of being in need of a man before robbing Preston blind. After being betrayed by his own mum, Alamo vowed to himself that night that he'd never let a woman outsmart him ever again. Now back in the present, Alamo rides to Rue and, predictably, doesn't whack her head off. Just before he swings though, Rue suddenly blurts out that her driver was Faye and promises to get Alamo's money back. Unfortunately, her plan hits a bit of a snag, given Faye and Wayne are madly in love. She's not about to betray and rob the guy anytime soon, but Rue just needs a picture of the key. Their plan is then to use that to break into Wayne's safe by printing a 3D replica of the key. Rue eventually guilt trips Faye over Ashtray and Fezco, eventually talking her into it. As the picture comes through, Alamo entertains Laurie and her guys at his pad. It's certainly tense though, with Rue right in the middle of this all, recording on her phone. Laurie gets right down to brass tacks, bringing up his affiliation with Gold Rush Medical Services. Apparently he's using ambulances and medical passes to ferry girls up and down the border. Laurie senses an opportunity and wants to use these girls to smuggle fentanyl across from Mexico. If Alamo agrees to this, Laurie promises to give back his cash. Laurie even wants Rue to go down across the border, but Alamo's quick to point out he doesn't trust her to do that. Now after one final threat, the pair part ways. As for Rue though, she immediately heads over to meet the FBI agents. Given she's kept her word, they promise that a US attorney is likely to look at her case favourably as a result. As for everyone else, well, they're probably going to spend the rest of their lives behind bars. Of course, Maddie is stuck right in the middle of this, given she's working with Alamo's girls. While the plan is in motion, Rue heads over to see Jules. She flirts with the idea of having kids and waking up to someone she loves all the time. Her dream, of course, is to live happily ever after with her beloved. Jules scoffs at his dream and is having none of it, happy to embrace her beautiful lie with Ellis. In the end, as things get heated and Rue questions just what Jules is doing, she smacks Rue upside the head, knocking her flat on the ground. Jules tells her to leave before Ellis arrives. Rue heads to the church instead, praying for redemption. When she gets a call from her mum, Rue admits she wants to start over and make up for the mistake she's made. Then Hollywood Cassie gets her big shot in front of the cameras and she winds up improvising. It's not on purpose though, and Cassie is actually traumatised by what happened with Naz and emotes her heart out. After the scene, the director speaks to Cassie, who mentions how it's been her dream to act since she was little. Lexi does her best to throw her sister under the bus, calling her a sex worker and pointing out what she's done with OnlyFans. The women here call it a new wave of feminism and eventually agree to bring Cassie into the show, but on condition that she delete her OnlyFans account. Cassie follows through and deletes her channel that evening, without talking to Maddie first. Uh-oh. She also struggles to get through to Nate as well, who continues to be stalked by Naz's goons. Honestly, this scene is like the Family Guy scene, with Brian being stalked by Stewie who wants his money back. Once you see that, it's hard not to just compare it every time they're on screen. Anyway, that afternoon, Cass receives a package in the mail, which happens to be a severed finger, with a note reading, "Answer the phone." Back at Alamo's, Rue is forced into the plan of grabbing the money from Wayne's safe. She doesn't have much of a choice either, given Bishop threatens her that afternoon. He brings up how he's spoken to Leslie and told her how well Rue is doing. At this point, Rue's stomach turns and she realises this is the reason her mum phoned her when she was at the church. On her way home, Rue narrowly misses a truck while driving, but when she swerves the car off-road, she heads out and notices a burning bush. So Euphoria returns this week with glimmers of what this show used to be. The introduction of seeing Alamo as a kid and how he's got into the business of women is a great touch, and one of the few parts of this season that actually works really well. I do miss how the show used to dive into the backstories for all of these characters, fleshing out more of how they've been shaped into the men or women that they are now. There's been ample opportunity to do that in this season too, with Laurie, Bishop, Faye and Magic, but none of them are really given all that much depth. Although we only see a bit of this storyline, Cassie is walking into a minefield here. Deleting her OnlyFans after signing that contract is one of the stupidest moves she could have made. Maddie is going to absolutely lose it when she finds out, and the chances are Cassie will be written out of LA Nights pretty quickly too, so she'll be left with nothing. Now Cassie's character hasn't been written consistently to back up any of this either. The first sign of trouble she rings Nate, despite leaving him at the first sign of trouble after their marriage. But Jules has turned into a horrible character too, let's be clear. Obsessed with drawing penises for some reason, while Nate is just beaten up every episode. Both of these guys have had their characters completely assassinated this time around. Now, the writers clearly have no idea how to make any of these storylines tick, or how to merge larger ideas into a cohesive whole. But then we did get a literal burning bush at the end of the episode to reinforce the religious iconography if you didn't spot that, so there is that. And I will say as an aside that this season is sorely missing Labyrinth's music as well. I know there were disagreements between Sam Levinson and Labyrinth ahead of filming, but honestly, scenes like that church were just crying out for some of his music. Overall though, season 3 has been an underwhelming mess, and the show is struggling to justify its existence. While it's not going to be the worst show of this year, hello Stranger Things, it is definitely in the running for it given what we've seen so far. But is that an unfair criticism? Am I being a little bit too hard on this show? What are you guys feeling about season 3? Are you enjoying it? As always, let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Smash a like or subscribe to the channel, your support is very much appreciated. I'm Greg Wheeler, and from all of us over here at The Review Geek, we'll see you on the next video.